somehow led to Trey Songz, and that put me in front of 10,000. Trey Songz led me to Nas and put me in front of 40,000.
Come on.
You know what I'm saying? And so it was like, oh, look at how God just lined it up. I mean, Michael's to be an engineer, now I'm DJ. You know what I'm saying? Like, so everything was just working out.
Welcome back to Open Invite, a show where community, culture, and entertainment intersects. I'm Anthony Jr.
And I'm Cyn.
And we have somebody very special here with us today.
We do. But I want to do like a introduction, right? Because he deserves an introduction. Okay? And so joining us today, I'm going to list a couple of things. We have a couple of things, okay? We have a creative, a technologist, a cultural architect, the founder of the largest Afrobeats festival on the West Coast. He is an entertainer, an educator, a community leader. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. But I will say, I feel like one of my favorite things about who this person is that he does everything with purpose, and in everything is very intentional about breaking down barriers, building bridges, and creating spaces where people feel seen, inspired, and celebrated. And so I'm hopeful that we get to celebrate him today. So join me in welcoming the one and only DJ Blast.
Thank you.
How you doing today?
I'm good. So happy to be here. Thank y'all so much for inviting me. I'm excited. Let's do it.
Absolutely.
One of the things I wanted to touch on real quick, what you did on Thursday, beautiful, man.
Thank you.
I think that's a real great way of like bringing people together. You know, we're always about community and the culture and all that, and just the way that you were able to bring everybody together for that type of dinner style. It was amazing, man.
Thank you.
We had a good time. We was there.
We had a good little time. Do you actually want to give people more context into what he's talking about?
So let me talk to y'all. So the idea of Thursday, a taste of Lagos, right? And the entire hope and premise was that I could bring Lagos to Seattle. You know, being from Lagos, raised in Dallas, I had no shortage of culture around me. And then I moved to Seattle and was like, oh, there's not even a Nigerian restaurant for real, you know? And then Pastor Jollof opened and I go there multiple times a week. And I'm like, other people need to experience this, right? And so I wanted to bring about, 95 of my closest friends, and make something really, really awesome for the city. So give people a drink, give people, good food, and just give people a good time. Just to say thank you for all you do for the community, and really just appreciate people for their hard work through what I'm trying to build as well.
Absolutely. So, Listen, I took a little to go. I took two. I'm not even gonna lie. Okay, it was good. It was really good.
I stuffed mine with a lot of jollof. I'm out of here.
It was delicious. But get us started into who you are, right? Because even with the introduction, I named so many things, and that doesn't even come close to capturing the essence of who you are as an individual. And so for the folks who know you, but even for the folks who don't know you, who is DJ Blast?
I'm just a kid looking for purpose. I think more than anything. I'm born and raised in Lagos, right? So always shout out to my hometown. And then from Lagos to Dallas. And I know I just mentioned that in my earlier statement, but like those two cities have been so impactful in just how I've grown up and who I've come to be. And then now, again, finding myself in Seattle, I came as just a guy that wanted to work in Microsoft. I got an internship and I got a job and I was like, let's do this, And again, in all of this, music was not present, And then I get to Seattle, I'm like, okay, where the people at? And they're like, no, we don't have nothing like that, bro. We don't have these, opportunities to really connect and gather. And so I don't know why, but God told me just start DJing. That's gonna be your responsibility in all of this. And so I bought some turntables from a pawn shop, and I started just practicing every single day, just learning how to mix. And next thing you know, I had the opportunity to start hosting events, and then from hosting events, I started doing festivals and concerts, and those were for other people. And then the pandemic hit, and I was like, okay, I'm not DJing for other people right now. I'm sitting at home. What can I be thinking about? What can I start doing? And so back in 2020, I started playing in Blastfest, and it took 3 years for it to come to fruition. But the seeds of that were sown, and during that time, I got to DJ for like Afro Nation. I got to DJ a bunch of other festivals globally, and I was like, yeah, I think I have an idea that's worthwhile. And so I'm happy, that now it's grown into what it has, and I just really pray for the future of it all. We're able to make it something amazing.
That's good. Look at you.
Yeah. And you think about it too, like where most of the time people don't think of Seattle being a destination for Afrobeats.
Yeah.
So would you say there was a little bit of challenges of kind of like finding that type of community for people to obviously support the Blastfest?
I think the good thing about it is that Seattle is a destination. It's not a destination for Afrobeats, for sure. But a lot of people just want to come and see what Seattle's about. Seattle, luckily, just happens to be extremely beautiful, right? It happens to have really good vibes. And again, if you come in the summer, I think there's only 2 other summers in the U.S. that come close to Seattle, which is Brooklyn and Chicago, right? So like, you're not going to have a bad time in Seattle in the summer. So I knew that to be true. And I knew the tourism was already there, so it was like, let's just build this out properly, for our culture, right? And then that's how it started. And yes, there were people that had some angst about it, or they weren't sure. But then you put, year 1 we had Ashake, year 2 we had Davido, and people were like, oh, we'll try it. And that's what started building it, And I think now people just look forward to it. If you're on the West, if you anything west of the Mississippi, quite honestly, there's really no other music festival that caters to your Afrobeats needs, and so we're here to fill that gap.
Oh man, that's beautiful.
I love it. And even in speaking of Blastfest, right? So one of the things that you just mentioned was when you initially started DJing. Yes, you had music, I'm sure, in some parts of your background, but you really had to learn how to DJ and really curate the crowd and the experience and all of the things. What are some of the challenges that you ran into in really cultivating that talent, right? And what kept you going?
I think the biggest challenges, especially moving to Seattle, was people weren't willing to give me an opportunity, right? I remember sending a million emails, going from door to door, knocking, different places, and nobody was willing to give a random guy from Dallas an opportunity, and I didn't have a resume. And mind you, at this point, I was still trying to DJ for free, like $100 an hour. Like prices that really don't make sense.
What's your rate now?
Let's not talk about it. But I was just trying to do things to make things work. And nobody was really trying to hear it. So what I ended up doing, this is art bar in Capitol Hill, it's called Vermilion, right? And Vermilion holds about 80 people, let's say. And I'll never forget, I went up there and I talked to the owner, and he was like, yeah, you can do that here, no problem. We talked about a rental fee, we figured out the prices, and it was like, cool. And I just bought out the whole bar, for a Friday night. And it hold 80, we probably brought out like 120, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so it was packed, and everybody's like, oh, we gotta start going to this event, Again, they didn't know the venue was that small, and so it looked bigger than what it was. And so the next event, we got a space that held like 100, and then we packed in like 150, and everybody's like, wait, these events are popping off. And that's just how it kept growing. And so those were the initial barriers, like people weren't willing to give me the space. And then once I started doing my own thing, now people are like, oh yeah, come DJ for us, bro, DJ for us, But I think beyond that, what kept me going, what motivated me, there were a few people that saw me. There were a few people that saw what I was doing. They were like, we want to support that. And there was one girl that worked with me at Microsoft. She was like, hey, I see what you're doing. We want you to come with us to Nesby. And that was my first time traveling to DJ, right? And so now I'm in Pittsburgh, I'm DJing, I'm like, oh, this is kind of crazy. And then while I was in Nesby, I got a contact, again, back here in Seattle, they wanted me to do Pitbull, right? And Pitbull's reggaeton, I'm like, I don't know that music like that, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, how am I gonna do this? And the first time I ever DJed in front of like 5,000 people. And Pitbull somehow led to Trey Songz, and that put me in front of 10,000. Trey Songz led me to Nas, that put me in front of 40,000 people.
Come on.
You know what I'm saying? And so it was like, oh, look at how God just lined it up.
Absolutely.
And mind you, Pitbull was a Microsoft show. I'm at Microsoft to be an engineer, now I'm DJing. You know what I'm saying? So everything was just working out the way it was supposed to. And so I always say from the beginning, I was a theater kid in high school, and obviously I never wanted to use my acting skills, but I was learning how to use my voice. So I was learning how to control crowds, right? So I just thank thank God that He's been orchestrating my path just from the jump, you know. And so where we are now is just, I think it's just a culmination so far of everything that He's done, you know. And I'm just excited to see what this is culminating to, you know what I'm saying, in the future.
Yeah, you know, and one of the things that I actually like that you mentioned, you don't shy away from your technical background. You know, I know oftentimes it's a little difficult for people to be able to balance a normal 9 to 5 with, you know, everything going on outside of it. But for you, like, how do you kind of look at balancing the two, especially knowing that, you know, Blastfest and DJing is taking off, but also you still need to have that routine, that 9 to 5.
Yeah. So we'll start that conversation by saying I no longer have to balance. I was laid off, and so now that I'm laid off and I'm in full-time entrepreneurship, it's a whole different feeling.
Yeah.
Like it's like, oh, we like no more life vests. You know what I'm saying? No more training wheels. Like we're just out here doing it.
Yeah.
But prior to being laid off, like I think life just worked. You know, because Microsoft is 9 to 5. I usually don't start DJing until like 8. You know what I'm saying? So I had the opportunity to not have them necessarily overlap. But I'll be honest with you, even as a 21-year-old, 22, when I first got into the job, one of the worst but best things that could have happened is Satya, the CEO of Microsoft, he gave a speech to all the incoming, if you were less than 2 years at Microsoft, right? And one of his opening statements was, use Microsoft as your platform to propel you.
That's good.
Right? And so, again, I was DJing for Microsoft, I was doing all these other things, and to me, that was the propulsion, right? Because now that I'm laid off, if I wasn't doing that, where would I be? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I would only have my engineering degree, I would be, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, but now, I have the opportunity to continue doing what I was doing because I was using Microsoft as a platform, right? You can't let your job be your end-all, be-all. Like, and especially, I won't get into it, but as we're going into the world of AI and everything, like, we got to own things, you know, and that's what it boils down to. So.
That's real, because, like, you know, me and Cyn, we were kind of talking about what that feels like when you're, you know, obviously you're working at some place where you're putting in a lot of your time, your effort and stuff, and then the layoffs come. Sometimes you can feel like you're set back a little bit, but it looks like for you, you were able to still propel and bounce back like nothing happened.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like, you feel the loss of income, you feel all these different things, but like, I'm sorry to be so spiritual today, but like there's a reality. Like the Bible very clearly says, like God dresses the flowers, He dresses the birds, He dresses everything. You know what I'm saying? And if He's taking care of them,
He gonna take care of you.
What are we talking about? Like, to me, like it's only in how strong is my faith in this? Like, how do I know He's gonna take care of me? You know, and that's with everything. Like, bro, Blastfest 1 was a lot of money that I ain't never seen before. And I had no real knowledge of if I was going to get it back. I emptied out my stocks. I emptied out my savings. I emptied out a lot of cash to make those payments, right? And we made it back.
Come on.
But if I didn't have the faith to do it in the first place, like now we wouldn't be talking about year 3. We'd still be planning year 1. You know what I'm saying? So it just works out the way it's supposed to.
It does.
You know?
It does.
That's good.
And that's a recurring theme with even all of our conversations so far. I feel like episode 1, 2, 3, every conversation we've had so far has been around life will have challenges, but we're going to need to learn how to pivot. And in pivoting, though, I think that a common denominator, I think even within us, is the notion of faith, right? Knowing that while we have our talents, we have our giftings, we have all of these things that we carry that are beautiful, there is a higher power that is helping orchestrate how everything is moving and falling together, right? And so I do love that perspective because I feel like it's necessary. You know, faith is important, I think, in everything that we do.
Thank you.
One of the things that you mentioned previously was about now knowing that we have to own things, right? What would you say, like, is the toughest thing about kind of like being your own boss and having to...
That's a good question.
You know, having to, you know, be very vigilant with every single thing that you're doing.
It's hard to remain human. Because so quickly you can just look at profits and losses and know why one thing leads to bigger loss. Or like we even talked about Thursday earlier, right? Like I didn't make $1 on it.
Yeah.
In theory, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But the heart behind it, only God knows what that'll pay later
Come
on.
on.
You get what I'm
Absolutely.
saying? And so one of the hardest things for me is like, this person didn't deliver what they said they were going to deliver, right? And really, I probably should let them go. You know what I'm saying? Or I probably shouldn't work with them again. But the heart behind it, they still got something there. Like I still want to. It might even be my responsibility to bring that something out. You know. And it's a balance of knowing when enough tries is enough, and versus like, all right, we got to keep moving. You know what I'm saying? Like it's hard knowing that those responsibilities fall squarely on your shoulders. People can come up to you, give you a million ideas, but they ain't never put $1 into it. You know, and so being able to like weed out the noise. You know, but at the end of the day, ownership isn't necessarily for everybody. You know, and I think you have to know whether you are an owner or if you enjoy working or supporting. You know what I'm saying? And it's not a bad way either way, because this ownership life is not easy. You know what I'm saying? People would never know. There's days like for weeks, ramen. Is all I eat. You know what I'm saying? Like, because if I eat anything else, I'm not gonna have money to pay Benson. I'm not gonna have money to pay Ashake or whoever it may be. Like, because that's the mentality you go into. So at the end of the day, they see the stages, they see whatever, but you don't know what it took to get here. And that's, I think, the hardest part of entrepreneurship. Like, people only see the wins. You know what I'm saying? But there's a lot of losses on the backside that we have to deal with personally and privately, you know, and so, learning how to balance that.
Yeah. And do you feel like your ability to balance those things is also, driven by faith, driven by purpose, etc., but do you have a certain goal in mind, right? Is there something specifically that you're hoping to hit or hoping to accomplish? I know some people always say, I want to establish a legacy, right? Like legacy is their goal. What is that main thing that keeps you going on top of the other items or the other aspects of your life that we've already talked about?
I wish I had a legitimate answer for you. You know, when I think about why I do what I do, legacy is part of it. Like I would be remiss to say that it's not. This is my why, right? I've talked about it already. Came from Lagos to the States. My father was in his 40s. Both my parents were in their 40s, right? I was gonna say my mom was in her 30s. That's not true. And my mother was a principal at an elementary school, right? My father was like VP of marketing for the largest pharmaceutical company in Nigeria, right? So they were doing very well. And then they moved to the States, right? On behalf of my brother, my sister, and myself. And so now they've given up all these things in hopes that we can do better, right? So we come to the States and my dad is now giving people baths. Right, you know what I'm saying? Like my mother is now changing older folks' diapers, right? Like they're from a principal to change. You know what I'm saying? Like you see the dichotomy in that, right? And so knowing what they went through, the sacrifices that they made, and their only request was that the three of us go and do well.
Come on.
I mean, I got you. You know what I'm saying? I got you. Like I'll never forget. Like, as I start to see more wins, it's really, really cool seeing my parents celebrating those wins. You know, like I see my mom taking pictures with T.Y. Savage, or I kept going over to greet my parents. You know what I'm saying? Like it makes me happy to see my parents be happy in these environments that we've created. You know, and so when I think about why I keep going, it's like they kept going, and so this is my opportunity to repay them a little bit.
So with that, then how would you define success?
I don't know that I have, because a lot of people congratulate me now. I'm 32 years old. I forgot. You know what I'm saying? I'm 32 years old.
Oh man!
So we got a long way ahead.
We did.
You know, the congratulations are premature. You know, what does success look like? I genuinely could not tell you, but I know we're not there, and I just feel it on my heart that God keeps telling me to keep going, and so we're gonna keep going.
I mean, I get that, and I think that, I asked that question specifically because we have a very similar story, right? So my family won us a lottery
Yeah.
that granted us citizenship to the United States. And dad was an engineer back home, right?
Yeah.
Came to America, was washing dishes at a hotel,
Yep.
right? And that story, and seeing that sacrifice, right?
Yeah.
He's working the two jobs that he was working, going to school, 4.0 GPA,
Yeah.
right? Like exceptional.
Yeah.
I always tell myself that I have no other choice but to keep going,
Yeah.
right? But in that, I feel like my definition of success has been tied to things that sometimes feel they're not tangible.
Yeah. Yeah.
And learning to celebrate those wins, right? So
Yes.
you mentioned being 32 years old,
Yeah.
and there's still so much more that you have to do
Yeah.
because you have a lot more that you can do.
Right. Right.
But what would it look like to even, for instance, look at Blastfest, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
that's success.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
year 3
Yeah.
is phenomenal,
Thank you,
right?
thank you.
And so anyway, I asked that question specifically for myself, right?
Mm-hmm,
Because I can be really hard on myself around how I'm defining success because it doesn't quite, right now, my in between doesn't quite capture where I feel like I need to be.
Right, right.
And so I'm constantly working, constantly building, which I
Yep.
think is necessary, but
Yeah.
also I think that the pause to reflect and really look at my current context and actually be grateful and actually celebrate that, I think
Yeah.
is important.
And it's a balance.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it boils down to. I think the hardest part, it's very necessary to not celebrate for too long.
Come on.
I think that's where the biggest
Okay,
issue. Like,
okay.
so we started this conversation talking about Thursday night.
Yeah.
As soon as everyone left, I sat down in the restaurant. I was like, oh, thank you God. Like this happened. This was a good time.
Yeah.
I woke up the next morning, kept going. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
like you take the time to say thank you and realize something cool happened, right? But I think a lot of folks stop there.
Oof.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Yep.
something cool happened. I did it.
Yeah.
Boom.
And they're done.
And that's it.
Yeah.
And it take like 4 months for the next
Yeah.
thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But before it's like, no, we keep
Right,
going.
right,
you know?
right.
Yeah.
Hey, the prophet Young Thug said, hustlers don't stop. They keep going.
The prophet Young Thug.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah, we keep going.
Yeah.
We keep going. We keep
And
going.
I think like and I love like, you know, where this conversation is going because I think a lot of this also just stems from, you know, all of our parents being immigrants.
Right.
Everybody coming from back home over here and knowing that it's sometimes what my parents always say is like, we're essentially their life insurance.
Oof, yeah.
Like they sacrificed coming over here, left what they were doing over there to make sure that what we do helps take care of them in the long run, you know? So that type of stuff, it always kind of sticks with me. And I don't know about you guys, but sometimes whenever I'm on social media and I see those, you know, sentimental videos of like people purchasing a house for their parents or getting something for, you know, their mom or their dad that was really necessary for them. Those are the types of things that I want to be able to do for my parents based off of the sacrifices that they made.
Yeah.
So I think all of it kind of is full circle when we all think about like where our parents are from, where our family's from, and the sacrifices that they've made being in the States for us. So
That's good.
something to really kind of think
Yes,
about.
yes.
What would we, if we were to, and I think that our experiences are very similar, so because of that by nature, I think that we have this innate drive that I know that sometimes might not be a second nature thing for some
Everyone,
people or for everyone, right? So if we were to give folks practical steps to, if their story doesn't quite look like our story, but to still have the drive to persist and to continue, like what are some of those steps that we'll be able to give people?
To me, like, and I use it every day, a to-do list.
Okay.
If you know you're not on top of things and you can't just like knock things out of the park, create a to-do list. And you can do it one of two ways. And both work for me depending on what I'm trying to do. If I feel motivated, I will list out everything I need to do in a day and then just cross it off as I go.
Yeah.
If I don't feel motivated, I will keep the sheet blank and write down everything I actually did.
I like that.
Right? You know what I'm saying? And so like I'll do it in reverse. It's like, oh, I actually knocked out a lot today. Good job. Let's keep it going tomorrow. But as simple as it sounds, a to-do list makes all the difference. There was a study done, and I won't go into the details of it, but essentially heart surgeries One of the biggest issues with surgeries was that people got infections because the doctors weren't properly cleaning like the tools and yada, yada, yada. Yeah. And checklists was what was introduced. Like you would think it'd be something super scientific.
Right.
It was checklists.
Right.
And literally like the number like significantly decreased because people started doing these 5 things on this checklist, you know, before they went into surgery.
Yeah.
And infections decreased. And so if doctors are doing that and saving lives, how much more for our business? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
like, to me, it's that simple, right?
Right.
And I've been using to-do lists probably for like 6-7 years now. And it's like daily activity, you know,
And
like
doing it consistently.
Yeah.
Consistently. We've talked about consistency a lot, even on this platform,
Yeah.
right? Like I think about Laid Back Allure. Part of what sets y'all apart is the simple fact that y'all are consistent in what you do, right? Part of what sets you apart is that you're consistent in what you do, right? So having a framework, checking off certain things, and being consistent in that, I think is really important. So I agree.
Yeah.
Now, with that being said, would you have said that there was a specific talent that absolutely defined like the foundation that you've built? Was it the talent, or would you say that it was something that accidentally happened? I know we talked a little bit about it, but like, what would you say?
Bro, I will never take credit for it. Like, it was God, dog. Like, more than anything. I can't say that when I started DJing and I rented out that venue, that I was the best DJ. No.
I'd be curious.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like was I playing anything? Just,
Right.
It was cool.
Right,
right?
right.
But people came.
Right.
And people kept coming, right? Whenever I started like branching out and doing all sorts of different stuff, like the past 8 years has been like a roller coaster, you know? And like as I started selling merch, I started doing all these different things. It's like, was I just doing anything just completely different? No. Like I just strongly believed in a lot of ways. So I have this really strong conviction, right? That if God puts something on your heart to do, like that's now your responsibility, right? And if you don't do it, he'll use someone else, right? Like the Bible even says he'll use like rocks and stones to do something. And so every time something hits my heart that I feel like, okay, this is like God breathed, God inspired, it's like, well, if he's telling me to do it, that means I need to go do it.
I gotta do it.
I don't know how to do it. I don't know where I'm gonna find the resources or whatever it may be, but I'm feeling pushed to go and accomplish this thing, right? Yeah. And every time that's the case, bro, it goes so much better than I could have imagined. Because there's plenty of things I tried to do by myself that just didn't work. You know what I'm saying?
Don't get me started.
And so I said to say, like, bro, I never would have known I would DJ for Pitbull. And how would Pitbull lead to Trey Songz? How would Trey Songz lead to Nas? And then from there, like, that's when I did Burner's show. That's when I did Wizard's show. You know what I'm saying? Like, then now I'm in Afrobeats. I'm like, oh, hold on. You know what I'm saying? Like now I feel better about this. And if I didn't do these Afrobeat shows, mind you, I was getting paid $0. $0. I did Burner for free. I did Wiz for free. I did Rema for free. I did Mr. Easy for free. I did all these shows, $0.
Yeah.
But I was getting followers though.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, look at him.
Right.
Not knowing I was going home broke.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But now, hey, bro, I need you to pull up to the fest.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like the seeds that were being sown then. Yeah. Like what's happening now?
I love
right? And so it's not that I did one thing or another, or that I felt like I was the greatest at one thing or another. I just used the tools that God gave me, and we turned 5 talents into 10.
Come on.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I love that. And in that, because clearly you have a keen ear to hear what the Lord is directing you to do. But again, I don't know that everyone knows how to really hear the voice of the Lord, right?
Okay.
I operate in the same sense.
Okay.
If the Lord gives me something, it's a mandate.
Cool.
You know what I mean?
Cool.
But because I've cultivated that relationship to where I pay attention to certain things that I know, okay, this is God speaking to me.
Yeah.
But again, sometimes folks don't know because the signs might be showing you something else, right? The signs might be you only have $5 in your bank account. What are you thinking about doing? You know, a multi-million-dollar business? What are you talking about, right? So how can folks really lean in and hear what God is saying or directing them to do?
I think number one, you just ask, right? If I were to be, I don't even mean to belittle like people's intelligence or anything like that, but it's like, hey God, what do you want me to do?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right,
just
right.
speak to me somehow.
Yeah.
You know, like sometimes it can happen in a song. And, you know,
Oh,
like
yeah.
sometimes you can. One of my really good friends, she sees things in the clouds. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Like sometimes it could be anything.
Yeah.
But asking is actually really the first step. Because he's not going. You have to ask, then you receive, right? You know what I'm saying? So yeah, but. Even at that, you know, like I know a lot of people aren't religious or spiritual, and wherever you are on your walk of life as you're listening to this podcast, like, I would challenge you to try it.
Come on.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
because what could you lose, right? It could be really, really beneficial. And yeah, if you don't like it, just send me a DM and we can talk about it.
You're gonna get a lot of DMs. I asked the Lord, and I'm still waiting.
Would you say I have a question about you know, kind of going back a little bit to Blastfest and knowing that Afrobeats is still a niche market
Yes.
as far as with music and everything that comes with it. Do you feel as though because it is a niche market or genre that you feel boxed in? Because, you know, obviously Afrobeats is only going to be a certain amount of people that are going to be obviously listening. But because it's became so big, you know, there's pros and cons obviously that are tied to it.
Yeah.
So how do you feel that Afrobeats has been that, you know?
You know, we are a niche market.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I have two things working against me. I'm in Seattle, which is 7% black, right? And I'm doing an Afrobeats festival, which should be, in theory, 100%, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And so because we don't have the market and we're catering to an audience that kind of doesn't exist, we need to fill that gap somewhere.
Yeah.
And social media is a really powerful thing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
if you look at our numbers now, just where we are as of today, about 48% of people coming to the festival are not from the Pacific Northwest.
Wow.
So people are flying in to find the experiences.
Yeah.
We got people flying in from places that we don't even think about, right? Like the North Dakotas, South Dakotas, Hawaii's, right?
Right.
So because people only cater, and it's not a bad thing, to the New Yorks, the Chicagos, the Houstons of the world. You've forgotten the West, right?
Yeah.
And for some reason, like as big as LA is, it doesn't get the love that it deserves in this space, right? And so all the people in Cali, Oregon, Salt Lake City, Vegas, they're
Yeah.
looking for these things to
They
do.
are.
Looking for it.
And
yeah.
all of a sudden, this guy comes with Blastfest. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And again, it's a niche audience, but we have the numbers for it.
Yeah.
Nigeria is going to be the most populous country. Lagos is going to be the most populous city, I think, by 2025. I mean, 2050, sorry.
Yeah.
Just at the rate of population. So we have the numbers. And a lot of Nigerians are leaving Nigeria. They're here in the States, they're in Canada, so like they have the opportunity to travel.
Yeah.
So why not? You know? Am I not thinking about the future? Yes, I am. Molly's on our lineup this year. She has a dance hall hit of the summer.
Oh, yeah.
Reggae is making a resurgence, right? So obviously I'm gonna be thinking about what that looks like. Afro-French music is making a resurgence. Definitely going to be looking at what that looks like. So I'm not staying boxed, right? Definitely looking at what the future is, but at the same time, the demographics show that we're going to be fine.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
We're not a small community.
No.
And as long as we cater to our community well and be true and authentic to what we're building, we'll be okay.
I love it.
Oh,
that's good.
That's fire.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. And speaking of Blastfest, the name Blast itself, because you are DJ Blast.
Yeah.
Where did that come from?
It's a long story, but in high school I played football,
Okay.
and my coach used to call me Bobby Blast, right? I played linebacker and I was just quick. I used to blast through the line.
Okay, cool.
And so Bobby Blast just kind of stuck. And my first business that I ever opened was a graphic design company, and that was called Blastography. Right, and that with graphic design, I turned it into photography and videography, and so I was just a whole media house, and that's kind of how I paid my way through school. And I became the creative director of the College of Business at Texas Tech University, and that's how I formed my first LLC. And so Blast just became the moniker that I rolled with. So when I first started DJing, I was coming up with all sorts of different names. I was like DJ Wishbone, DJ Africa, DJ.
Wait. Wishbone.
Yeah, I was trying to come up with all sorts of things. You know what I'm saying? And Blast just felt the most authentic.
Yeah.
You know, and I really do thank God for what it's grown into. And now like Blast House, right? Like that's the entire overarching company, and everything falls under Blast House. So Culture and Tech, Blast Flow, Blast Academy, the festival. So Blast House, we're trying to do really, really cool things. You know,
Anything with media?
So Blast House itself is a media company, right? You know what I'm saying? So we're gonna see what that crossover looks like.
Hey, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Do you ever think about like now the amount of, because we touch on community all the time, but with Blastfest, have you, and I've seen all the videos that have been coming from like the social media platforms and stuff, and just being at Blastfest, but like, did you ever think about like how the community spawned it? Like knowing that like a lot of these people from different cities, different states are coming to a place like Seattle, meeting so many different people, getting submerged into Afrobeats culture and the community that has been built for that, you know?
And I can't take credit for that, right? You know what I'm saying? I think, again, you look at what Layback Allure is doing, look at what the collective is doing, you look at what all these different pockets of people, Afrobeats Party, My Piano's Here, you know, like Free Agency, like you look at all these different people.
Yeah.
We have been building the community, right? It just so happens that Blastfest is on the largest scale, I guess, you know what I'm saying? But like, if we all weren't doing things, Blastfest doesn't work. You know what I'm saying? Like it takes all of us to create, which is why that weekend, everybody's doing something. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody, because again, if all the folks weren't pouring in to this bucket, it doesn't work. You know what I'm saying? You can't build on the island, right? So I will first give credit where credit is due, right? Now, when I think about the real impact of community, like let's talk about our food vendors, right? Or our small businesses, you know? There was one company, I won't say the name, on average, their daily average sales in food is about $680 on average. At Blastfest, they made $11,200 in one day.
Wow.
In one day. So that means they could really close for the next month and not feel it. That's impacting the community. Because now that business can pay all its workers, right? He can go home and make something for his family. You know what I'm saying? Like there's now a trickle down effect, right? We have 9 food vendors. That's just one, right? You know what I'm saying? We have 6 businesses in the small business in Blastmart. Again, we can only tell the story of 1, 2, right? So you have no idea when we talk about community impact, how far it's trickling out. You talk about Blast Academy, we're teaching kids how to DJ. We're now watching kids grow up, learning Serato, learning all these different things. Again, my prices are undisclosed, but we're seeing them talk about we're charging $250 for a show. I'm like, yes, sir. You know what I'm saying? Like you look at all these different things, and so the impact in the community is so much beyond the festival. You know what I'm saying? My hope is that like this city feels that wave in full. I want Blastfest to continue to be a positive impact. I think that's why the mayor shows up. I think that's why state senators show up. I think that's why the city council shows up, because they see what we're doing. And my hope is we just continue to make an impact. Like I want to be the most influential, not just for the African community, not just for the Black community. I want to be the most influential festival in the city of Seattle.
Period.
That's good. And you know what? That's a good way to end it. I feel like that's really, really good. Now, before we do wrap, we do have a closing segment called Split Decision, right?
Cool.
So in essence, I'm going to give you 2 options. It's like a this or that. You can only choose one, okay? So this is from within the context of what we've talked about today. Your first option is, and it's going to be for the both of you. I'm curious to hear answers from the both of you. So either pave your own lane or dominate a lane that already exists.
Pave
for sure. Yeah.
And why?
I think really it's just knowing that there's goes back to a legacy that's behind it. Knowing that like you did it your way and your way worked.
It's scary though to pave. Lyft was the first one to do this whole driving economy. Uber came second. But Uber gets the credit, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, so there's a lot of times that sometimes the first person to come doesn't do it right. And I have to give credit here to like a Madaraka festival. You know what I'm saying? Like, they did great. They opened the lane. You know what I'm saying? And they were the pavers, right? And now I have the opportunity to see what they've done and go further, right? I say it to say, like, paving, it's no joke, but it's worth it, you know? Because you till that ground, you till that soil, and you see the fruits of your labor, you know? Dominating starts competition.
Yeah.
And that's necessary.
I like that. I like that. Okay. Second options.
Yeah.
Share your talents before they're ready, or perfect them in silence for years before you share them with the world.
Perfect in silence.
I'm a little different.
Ooh, okay.
I got to do the opposite. But the reason why is because what I've seen for me is that sometimes if I put stuff out there, I see what the reception is of it. And then I get the criticism, and then I'm able to go back and redo it, rework it, you know what I'm saying? So that's why I would just say that, but I definitely understand the same thing.
You use the word talents.
Yeah.
I think that's why, you know, like things, events, whatever, quickly. Like, as quickly as possible. But talent, that's now personal. You know what I'm saying? It's like, so, and I guess I don't want to put out something that could make people, if I do it incorrectly, it's like, he fumbled the ball. You know what I'm saying? But if it's events or something like that, I'll
put it out.
Yeah.
Okay, here's the last one. Be the name everyone knows, or the force no one ever sees but everyone feels.
I want to be, pause, I want to be felt. Like even yesterday, someone came up to me. I was playing Afrobeats at Afrotech event, and someone was like, "Oh my gosh, you're so good. Are you going to DJ at Blastfest?" I was like, "Oh man, you're in for a shocker. I'm Blast." Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of people that don't connect the two. You know what I'm saying? And I don't mind that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want everyone to feel the impact, and even if you never know it's me, it's calm.
I love it.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. Also because like for a long period of time of like building Laid Back Galore, I've always been the face, but you know, I always had a team and stuff. But I think now, as we've been constantly, you know, in the market and stuff, I'm starting to get to that point where I'm trying to step back a little bit, because at least now the brand itself can kind of hold weight. So it doesn't need me to kind of be the leader of it. The brand can kind of drive itself. So I think that's kind of like where I'm at with it. So I would agree.
Okay, good answers. Good answers. Okay. Well, is there anything before we wrap that you need to share with the folks, where folks can buy tickets and all that wonderful stuff, merch?
Blastmusicfest.com. You'll see merch, you'll see hotels, you see tickets, you see everything that you need. I'm OG Blast on Instagram. Feel free to reach out to me, talk to me. Like, let's have conversations. Thank you so much for inviting me here. I'm really, really appreciative. More than anything, like, we're here for you. We're here for the community. We love you. God loves you. So just continue to be great. Let's do it.
Thank you. We appreciate you. This has been so good. You are amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. And then Anthony, you're going to sing us out?
Yeah. We doing this, okay?
We are.
Well, in honor of Blast being here in Afrobeats, we don't cost Las. Now everybody will chop breakfast. Hey, chayo. That's it. We good.
All right, y'all.
Yo, peace.